Welcome, everyone, to the Independence Township Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 18th. It is 6 p.m. If you'll rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is roll call. Clerk Lubek here, Treasurer Brown.
Here.
Trustee Hayward.
Here.
Trustee Morocco.
Here.
Trustee Nalamoku. Here. Trustee Tedder.
Here.
And Supervisor File is absent this evening. We have a quorum. I would like to, in the absence of Supervisor File, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Treasurer Brown as acting chairperson for the March 18th, 2025 regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. And I will pass it to you.
Probably don't need that, but, all right, here's a roll call. Approval of agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda by removing consent agenda number 3, request to approve a request for proposal for tax tribunal legal services.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carried.
So now we go to,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. You might have to nudge me about
That's okay.
calling the vote. I'm not used to doing it.
That's all right.
All right, so we've got, so I'm going to go through the consent agenda now.
We're at E.
Right, E? Okay. Board member comments, excuse me, board announcements. Any board members have announcements? Mr.
Yeah,
Tedder?
I'm sure many of you do the same, but I make a regular habit on my commutes and such, or a little idle time, to watch the planning commission meetings. I know probably second only to the board, it's a really important and heavy burden. The meetings are long and detailed, and I was just really impressed with the way the board is, or the commission rather, is kind of coalescing, and they're asking, even the newer members are asking more thoughtful questions, and I think they're doing a really great job on behalf of the township, and I just wanted to give the planning commission a nod, and that is all.
Sir?
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm pleased to announce that Courtney Wanafried, Deputy Clerk, has successfully completed the 3-year Institute program through the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks. This rigorous program requires a total of 120 hours of instruction, and Courtney's commitment to this achievement is a testament to her dedication to professional growth. We congratulate her on this remarkable accomplishment and look forward to seeing the positive impact that this will take on her role. That's all I have.
Great.
I have one thing here from the Oakland County Treasurer's Office. It's an announcement related to deadlines for tax foreclosure sale, processing. The county, when taxes aren't paid on time, they handle those. So if you don't pay the township on time, those are sent to the county, and then the county pays the township, and then they collect the taxes. The important deadline they want to get out there is that it's a 3-year deadline, so anyone who still has unpaid taxes from 2022 risks on March 31st of that foreclosure process essentially starting to happen officially. And it's important to keep in mind that they work really closely with people to set up payment plans. So if folks have a problem but they're fearful of going down there, please don't be fearful of going down there. They do a great job of working with taxpayers who are in a tight spot, and they do it on a regular basis. So don't wait if you've got that issue. Contact the county treasurer's office. And next is public announcements. Anyone in the public have an announcement? see any. And now we have public comment. After being recognized by the chair, individuals in the audience may address the township board. The speaker must go to the podium and identify herself or himself, limiting their comments to not more than 5 minutes regarding items that do not appear on the agenda tonight. Do we have anyone with public comment? I don't see any here. Anybody online? No? All right. Item G, we now have public hearings. So I'm going to open the first public hearing at 6:05. This is, do I announce it too, what it is? A confirmation of the special assessment role for Sheringham Woods Subdivision District 2025, SAD number 1 for repaving public roads. We have our Director of Assessing, Kimberly Fagley.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As you're aware, we've had 3 requests for SADs. We've confirmed the district boundaries at the prior public hearing, and tonight we are here to have the public hearing to confirm the assessment role and hear any objections to the individual assessments that anyone may wish to voice.
Okay.
So first, we have Sheringham Woods. I get my paperwork back in order here. With a total assessment package of $227,654.40 with the admin fee added. And individual assessments after NRIP contribution would be $338.71 for 10 years.
It's $338.
For Sheringham
Oh,
Woods, yes,
You're talking about annually.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
For 10 years.
Over 10 years.
Okay.
Does anyone have any comments that they would like to make?
Not seeing any. Anybody online who would like to address the board during the public hearing on this SAD? I don't see any. Okay. So I'm going to close the public hearing on the first SAD at 6:07. And we will move to open the second public hearing at 6:07. Confirmation of a special assessment role for Spring Lake North Subdivision and ITC Utility Parcels District 2025, SAD number 2 for repaving public roads.
Okay, Spring Lake North, their special assessment role also includes a maintenance fund. Their total improvement project is $978,136.38 with admin fee and the repair maintenance fund. Annual installments on the 10-year SAD would be $844.36 after the NRIP contribution is applied.
Okay. Anyone from the public who wishes to comment on?
Good evening to the Board of Trustees. I just have a short,
If you could state your name, please.
Ben Hastings, 5583 Edderstone Drive, Clarkston, Michigan, 48346. I just want to take a moment this evening to express my sincere gratitude for the board's assistance, time, and trust through this road repair project. Your dedication to improving our community's infrastructure has been instrumental in ensuring the success of this project. I also wanted to extend a special thanks to the township employees who played a vital role in this effort, particularly the assessing department and Kim Fagley. Through their hard work, professionalism, and commitment to serving our residents, that effort did not go unnoticed, and we deeply appreciate their contributions. Additionally, I want to recognize and thank the homeowners and volunteers who have been kind, receptive, engaged throughout the entire process. Your patience and understanding, willingness to work together have been essential in making this project a success. It's through strong community involvement that we continue to improve and enhance our community, and I'm very thankful for it. Lastly, I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to thank my wonderful family for their unwavering support throughout this project. Their patience, encouragement, understanding have been invaluable, and I'm truly grateful for their partnership. It is through teamwork and dedication that we continue to enhance our community, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to work alongside such committed individuals. Thank you once again to the board for your leadership and support, and I look forward to future collaborations that continue to benefit the community. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else. We'll close the public hearing for SAD number 2 at 6:10. And I will open the public hearing for SAD number 3 at 6:10. Public hearing confirmation of the special assessment roll for Chestnut Hill Farms subdivision, ITC parcel, and excluding Chickadee Lane frontage District 2025, SAD number 3 for repaving public roads.
Last but not least, Chestnut Hills, their project is coming in at $2,161,636.05 to date, with the admin and repair fund built in. As you're aware, this is a heavily traveled area, and we're all looking forward to this repaving project in Chestnut Hills. Their annual installment over 10 years is $1,784.97 for 1 unit of benefit.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Does the board get into this piece, or do we wait till it's on?
Let's wait till
Okay.
It's on regular business.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Anyone from the public would like to comment on the third SAD? Anyone online? I don't see anyone. So, thank you, Kim. We will close the public hearing for SAD number 3 at 6:12. Presentations and report, we have none. No carryovers of postponed items. On the consent agenda, we have 3 items. Request to approve. It's funny, I don't need glasses for my computer, but I need them to read this. Request to approve Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes of March 4th, 2025. Request to approve the March 11th, 2025 check run, including ACH, of $1,622,331.08, and ratify the February 28th, 2025 payroll, $335,342.14. And request to approve 2025 budget amendment number 4 for various items by Rick Yeager. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. We're moving on to regular business. The first item, request to adopt resolution number 2025-009, confirming special assessment role for public roads, special assessment district 2025, SAD number 1 for repaving public roads. And so I don't know if we need to, I guess I'll probably ask for public comment at this point on this one. Sam, did you want to talk about this one or the other one? Just the other one.
Is this Sheringham?
This is Sheringham.
Nope, the other two. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So if I can get a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-009, confirming special assessment role for Public Road Special Assessment District 2025 SAD number 1 for repaving public roads for the Sheringham Wood subdivision as presented.
Second.
I do want to make one comment. Now, this will apply to all these. The timing of, and some folks have asked, when can these be paid off without paying interest? The timing of that's going to depend on when the township actually spends the money. Once we spend the money, we will then send out notifications, kind of starting a 30-day period, which you can pay off the SADs without paying any interest. And the amount of interest that ends up going on, it's going to depend on when the project, when that finished time actually happens. If it's later in the summer, there'll be less interest charged in December. But we'll calculate that once we know for sure, and everyone will have that opportunity to pay it off without interest. So I wanted to put that out there. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
It's
Wait,
roll
it's a
call.
roll call?
Treasurer Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Hayward?
Yes.
Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
Trustee Alamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Tedder?
Yes.
And Clerk Newbeck, yes. Motion carried.
Okay. Item number 2, request to adopt resolution number 2025-010, confirming special assessment role for Public Road Special Assessment District 2025, SAD number 2 for repaving public roads.
I'd like to make a motion to recuse myself.
I have a,
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead, I mean,
I'll
I'll
make a
support.
motion.
Well, we have to, someone else has to make the motion.
I'll make a motion to recuse Trustee Hayward.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, David.
I have a question, if I may, for our
Yep.
attorney, Mr. Kelly. As an ITC employee, is there a conflict of interest in this regard, or not necessarily?
They're part of the, really, to be honest with you, no, I don't feel so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
before I
sure.
voted. Thank you.
Thank you for checking on that.
Are we just ready for a motion?
No, I wanted to
Oh,
add
I'm
a
sorry.
question.
All right,
Kim, could you just, so I can explain it to others, this one has tied to a maintenance fund. Can you just give me a quick idea of what comes along with that?
This provides the HOAs with monies to repair curbs or broken grates, driveway approaches, anything that may happen in that 10 years over the SAD. This helps them keep it in good shape without water getting in and the cracks getting bigger and creating potholes early. I think I have that right. I'm not an engineer, but
Okay, who manages that fund?
the HOA.
And
Well,
Well, we collect the
the
money.
monies are here at the township.
okay,
Okay, we have them in a separate fund, they're accounted for. We already have one that's actually for the Fendera Road paving, that's been in for a few years, and the HOA would need to come forward to present, repair invoices that they want to have paid out of that. The HOA is going to have presented something that says they voted to approve that expenditure, and then they would present it to us, and we would pay it.
does the township board approve that?
The invoices do they get approved through accounts payable?
Who in the township's overseeing this?
The invoices go into the clerk's office and the checks get cut. They present an invoice stating that the work has been completed, and then they request the funds to pay the contractor or reimburse their HOA fund.
So there's no oversight of the township of it?
Oversight,
Just
Other than-
the whoever, the homeowners association submits
Correct.
it and you,
This whole repaving of public roads was based on all management being passed on to the HOA and the residents.
okay? And what happens to the money after 10 years that's in there?
They can request the monies to do additional repairs, or it gets applied to their winter tax bill by motion of the board for reimbursement or credit on their winter tax bill. We've done that before.
So they don't get to put it in
so
their
real
kitty?
quick, if I'll jump in. I'm going to suggest that on any of these, we start putting requests for funding for these maintenance projects on these or prior SADs on consent agenda items and approve those payments to be paid. The payments to be approved anyways through the normal AP process, but I think, given what we're doing, we might as well have them in there, the board will have a chance to look at it in the packet, just so you can see what's happening with those projects, maybe even drive around and look at them.
I'd also like to add that we aren't fronting the money for the repair funds. We will be collecting an annual installment from them each December 1st. So that is kind of a self-funding repair fund.
So that's outside the loan for the paving?
Correct.
So they're putting their money in, they get to spend it how they want to. It's
And they
not part
can't-
of the money we're lending them
Correct.
to the project?
No.
Okay, well, that's,
And they
there's a
can't- and they
difference
can't-
there.
okay.
That was my concern, that we'd want to have some eyes on it if it was the money we're lending them, how it was being spent. you know,
Yeah.
so that's fine, I'm fine with it.
That's
Is
fair.
that similar to the next one?
Yes, it's the same.
Exactly
Okay,
the
That
same.
was, all right, thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
they can't deficit spend either. If they can't bring an invoice and say, we want to be reimbursed $10,000, and there's only $8,000 available, they can't do that. So- Okay, so I guess we're ready to have a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-010, confirming special assessment role for Public Road Special Assessment District 2025, SAD number 2, for repaving public roads for Spring Lake North subdivision and ITC utility parcels as presented.
Support,
Okay, roll call?
Trustee Morocco?
yes.
Trustee Alamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Tedder?
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. And Treasurer Brown?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Okay, request to adopt resolution number 2025-011, confirming special assessment role for Public Road Special Assessment, for Public Road Special Assessment District 2025 SAD number 3 for repaving public roads, Chestnut Hill Farm Subdivision ITC parcel, and excluding Chickadee Lane frontage. I think I'll just, any public comment on that from anyone? Anyone online? If we could get a motion for that?
Motion to adopt resolution number 2025-011, confirming special assessment role for Public Road Special Assessments District 2025 SAD number 3 for repaving roads for Chestnut Hill Farm subdivision, ITC parcel, and excluding Chickadee Lane frontage as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a roll call vote?
Trustee Hayward?
Yes.
Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
Trustee Alamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Tedder?
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. And Treasurer Brown?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Item number 4, request to approve the final site plan for Walden Village 2 PUD, Phase 3 West Commercial. Brian Ottman.
Good evening, board members. We are here at the last phase of Walden Village for final site plan approval. Just for everyone's recollection, this project was approved in 2021 with multiple phases. Phase 1 was the single-family townhomes. Those are under construction currently. Phase 2 was the 48 homes off Walters Road. Those are also still under construction. And Phase 3 was essentially split, with the market being one kind of a 3A, and this is the west, what we term West Commercial. So this is the rest of the commercial project. So at the time of preliminary approval, basically this side of this phase was approved for 21,000 square feet of restaurant/commercial, and then another 5,000 in office/commercial. So with this project itself, the site plan in front of you and in the packet proposes a 43,000 square foot standalone restaurant, 14,500 square foot building with restaurant, office, and retail uses, and 11,500 square foot child care center. So the site plan proposes outdoor plazas, seating areas facing Walden Road, and it's similar to the setbacks that are already there with the market. So it mirrors at Walden Center Drive. It's going to mirror it essentially. So what's important when you're looking at a final PUD project like this with this phase is you got to look at what the permit conditions say for this phase, and I'm going to read them word for word for the public's knowledge and also the board. With respect to each proposed retail commercial use within Phase 3 of Walden Village 2 PUD, the structures and such uses shall be upscale, high quality, and non-typical of a strip mall or big box store, which shall be designed and constructed in such a manner as to provide and promote a consistent character of architecturally superior and harmonious design and appearance with residential phases of Walden Village 2 PUD and all other portions of the property, as well as all the design standards for the town center area guidelines of the Sashaba Overlay District, which is Walden Village 2 is a part of that. So from the first page in the plan shows what was originally approved, okay, and then so there is some modifications to the original site plan in terms of just uses and the layout of the buildings. 4 were shown on the original PUD. This consists of 3 buildings. They're obviously in different locations due to just the uses and the formatting. Office commercial building shown in the original PUD is now a daycare center, a daycare facility. A driveway connection to Bradford Lane inside of Phase 4. That was on the original plan. That's been put in there, and there's been some modifications that the Planning Commission made to the shifting of that roadway to accommodate some more landscaping. 2 driveway entrances are proposed for the daycare. When a single entrance was in the overall plan, the internal circulation of the daycare is actually improved by eliminating some spaces and enlarging an island. So they made some changes there, and tapers will be installed on Walden Road, and crosswalks and ramps across Walden Center Drive are now shown on the plans. The Planning Commission, we went over this twice at the Planning Commission level. Also, we had several pre-apps. This is a couple years in the making. The Planning Commission voted unanimously 6-0 to send this to the board for final site plan approval. And I just wanted to point out that Jim Epping, representing the developers here, and also Megan Mason-Minnock from Carlisle Wortman, and Jason Longhurst, if you have any, from Noack and Frost, if you have any technical questions.
Guess I'll start. Do we need Jim, Mr. Epping, to answer those questions?
Yeah, Jim, probably you.
Good evening. I'm Jim Epping, Independence Township resident, also landscape architect and planner in the township, representing the Veris Group, who is here tonight. Joe Paluzzi, one of the principals, is here as well.
I had a couple questions, but first I thought I'd start off with the positives. I don't have many negatives, just had some questions. I really appreciate the site plan. It's beautifully done. You've done a great job.
Thank you.
I think of incorporating the overall vision, and in reading through your comments with the additional colors, the material colors, I think that was wonderful. And I had spoken to Brian earlier this afternoon. Something else that seems really small that I thought was great that I noted was the bicycle spots. And there's only one, correct?
There are 3 bike racks, but one location in the back.
One location? Okay, I guess I didn't realize. I thought that was a great idea.
Right.
It's a small thing, and it's probably a small touch, but I think it was very important with the surrounding community. People could ride their bikes. Some of the things I had questions about was the trash bin for the daycare. I know that this was, I think, discussed on the Planning Commission side, but I'm wondering why we wouldn't move it back, I think, to its original spot in that left-hand side, which would free up the parking space. And I'm also thinking of staff that are walking back and forth. In most likely daycares, it's females, and could be at night or with that busy traffic coming back and forth. I mean, where my office sits, I see the traffic and I see the comings and going, all day long with the daycare next door. And I just wondered why it would not be best back in that original corner. That was something I thought about there. This may seem a little strange, but Brian and I talked through this as well, and I just thought I'd give you my comments. I don't know why I'm stuck on trash bins, but the 2 trash bins are trash receptacle areas for the restaurants. I was looking at it only being 2 there, but Brian told me there's actually 2 in each area. And I was looking at the overall space. I know we have 2 proposed spots for restaurants, but the retail spot I know is proposed as retail, but looking at the size of the space someday in the future, it doesn't eliminate from that ever, maybe, with the possibility of being another restaurant, should somebody ever come forward. And I just wondered, would those 4, I mean, it sounds like it would be a lot, but I think of retail. Retail doesn't have much other than cardboard. Restaurants have a lot of waste, food waste, packaging waste. Should that ever someday in the future be a 3rd restaurant, would that be adequate enough with what we have now proposed with just those 2 spots with the 4? I know it sounds kind of silly, but.
No, it's good foresight. So in terms of the daycare and the dumpster, we're really happy to take the township's direction. The planning commission and Trustee Morocco in particular had some good thoughts in terms of trying to move it further from the future residential townhomes. We were able to shift it significantly to the east to get it further away from those 2 future townhomes. We did it without losing parking spots, which was important to us, and we wanted to make sure that the truck circulation would work well, and we think it does. We showed some diagrams in the site plan package. So
Okay.
I think from an applicant's point of view, we think that either works. We certainly respect the Planning Commission's comments and try to adjust to that. They seemed reasonable and it made sense. So I think we would, from an operations point of view, from an ownership point of view, from a daycare operations, we spoke with them and they said, either work well for us, we'll make them work. So at this point, I guess we'd look for direction from the township to do it one way or the other.
Okay.
As it relates to the other dumpsters, you're right, in kind of the east and west corners of that northern parking lot, we show 2 dumpster enclosures, both anticipated to have 2 bins per. We are proposing to have 1, likely 2 restaurants. You are right that possibly in the future it could be 3 or more. There's different types of dumpsters. Some are recycling, some of them are just trash. With restaurants, you bring up a good point that they could be other types of things there. So it made sense to us to kind of plan for the future now. We think between the total development of West Commercial, it'll be a total of 5 dumpsters, and to us that seemed more than enough. We probably could even get away with making one of the 2 northern spots just a 1 location, but we wanted to, kind of build it so we didn't have to come back and make site plan changes later.
Perfect, thank you. I think that's all I have.
Very good. Trustee Morocco?
As a liaison of the Planning Commission, I'll give you some insight. Jim, thank you for this plan. We were limited to what we could have, what was already approved here, so we tried to do our best to dial it in at the Planning Commission level. Like I mentioned, many reiterations. Our main focus was the protection of the residential properties that are adjacent to it. So the Planning Commission made recommendations, which all of the things I'm going to mention are things that the developer willingly did to make the development better from the last reiteration to get us to this point. They made the facade on the daycare center nicer. We relocated, the thought behind the relocation of the dumpster was the way that the westerly wind blows. That was in between 2 units, and we were concerned about the diaper smell that everybody's aware of from the one next door. So it was consciously moved to be to the westerly boundary of the last residential home, so that if the wind characteristically blows to the west, that would eliminate the hopefully the potential in the summertime for that to be a negative impact on the residency. We asked for the northerly road to be moved to the east so that we could increase more plantings and more buffering on this site, which will have the recommended buffering from the residential site will be added, and then what we've asked them to add on the commercial site, doubling up the landscaping to better protect the residential properties. That was our main focus. The dumpsters in the back were pulled in. They were really far out to the property line. Those have been moved in so they could be more camouflaged. There was no loading dock anywhere, and they were going to use the parking lot itself, so they moved an island over and made a designated truck parking area, which we felt made it a lot safer, servicing that many buildings. And I've had to do a lot of explaining to the residents of why the Myers is so close to the road, and now these are gonna be very close to the road, and I think that's gonna help paint the picture of what we were going for, which is businesses that were accessible from the pedestrian walkway and wouldn't have to traverse parking to patronize the places, all having outdoor patios and with the daycare having outdoor spaces. So along with the Myers huge patio, I think that it's finally, when these are built, I think it's going to be clear what the intent was to, it also, to make everything safely accessible for pedestrians with all the housing that's behind it. And the architecture will add to the camouflage of the density of the residential for sure. So that's going to be something I think that will add to the curb appeal. Nicer commercial buildings and less, you won't be able to see through to the residential in the back. So we made a lot of changes, and they were very accommodating to every one of them to try to dial this thing into what we had already approved they could have, and I think it's a much better project for it. The Planning Commission put a lot of time into it, and I think it shows. So I think it'll be nice when it's done for what it is,
Right, very good.
I have a couple questions. Hi. And the only reason I asked it, were you a part of the first phase 3 as well?
I sure was.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and it might have been brought up, I don't know about lighting. My question is, how long are these parking lot lights? Are they going to be on, when, do they have a time that they have to be turned off? Do we have any kind of anything? So like Meyer can have their parking lot lights on till midnight?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. I can look into it as it
Okay.
relates to both the market as well as this new commercial. We have met the township standards. In fact, Trustee Morocco made some good suggestions. We moved some of those further away from the townhomes. But in terms of hours of operation, we've brought them down to 18 foot. We've maintained the minimum foot candles that are permitted in the
Okay.
township. I can look into if there's adjustments. I'd be making it up.
Yeah, I mean, I know that that's already been approved, but I thought I would ask it, curious, and how long the market hours would, actually, how late the store is going to be open.
I'll find out and I'll send an
Okay.
email to the township.
All righty, and I know that's the other part of that too, and, and while I'm looking at it too, and I know that, because I was on the other side of this one when this development came up, and this isn't against anybody who developed it or anything, and a lot of us weren't on the board that approved it, but being inside and understanding how all these processes work, to understand that when somebody owns a piece of property, they come forward, they request a PUD, they own the property, they have the rights to build on the property the way they want to. It goes to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission looks at it, makes sure that it adheres to all of our ordinances, that, Sam's done a good job of improving, I think, this plan. And I trust the Planning Commission to cover the ordinances, to make sure that this is all within what the township allows. And that would there lie in the problem. And a lot of times the residents come and they see this building coming up, and I'll be honest, it's too late at that point. If you're concerned about the developments, which I do hear a lot. When I was running for office, I knocked on a lot of doors, and I can tell you that over 90% of the people I talked to were not happy with the developments that we're doing, and we're kind of with this. And we can't just simply vote no because we don't like it. We are voting to allow something that is legal, that has passed all the tests of what the township allows. So I just wanted to point that out, and I've never heard that before, so a lot of times you see people come up here and everybody voted yes. Why did you do that? I thought I elected you to stop this stuff. The only thing that we can do moving forward is, which we've done, is we had a great meeting with the Planning Commission and ourselves, and I know that we're going to be doing those going forward, and work on getting what I think the residents are looking for towards development. And one of the things too, and it's a tough pill, and I'm just going to say it is here while we're talking about this development, because there's a couple of people online, and it's going to be talked about probably on Facebook as well, and is that we have a couple of choices, which is we either continue to do developments and try to drive tax revenue, or we don't do any developments and raise taxes. I mean, we can't not do both. So, I mean, at a certain point, we do want good developments, but we also have to understand that, you know, as a resident for myself, to understand how this thing works, and nobody wants their taxes raised either. So we have to go one way or another on this. But I just wanted to make that clear to everybody that is here, people that are listening online or will watch this later, the process of this. So when we vote on this, our vote is saying, yes, this is approved by all the things that the township has set up as far as ordinances, and it complies with everything at the township. And of course, you bend over backwards to make sure that it does comply, and then maybe even add things that we're requesting to make the residents happy. So that's all. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Mr. Hayward. You know, I'd add one more layer in terms of tax
Sure.
revenue and everything else and this comes from as a resident as well as a planner, is well-planned communities like Independence Township become desirable. And, you know, we've seen communities throughout the state and throughout the country that kind of stop and they then ultimately start to decline. I think Independence has done a good job through our boards and our commissions to balance that. And it's really not only about tax revenue, but it's just about creating places and designing places like this close to neighborhoods, up to the street. Some of the things that the Planning Commission and the Master Plan have put into place allow us to ride our bikes and walk and take, you know, advantage of living in a community that we don't have to drive anywhere. So obviously there's concern about traffic. Obviously the new homes, which are selling well, which tells me people like them and want to be here, generate some traffic, but we've really tried to design this with a focus on walking and riding bikes and being able to use our community as opposed to just drive back and forth.
Right, and that's the other reason why I support the SADs, because the township's willing to improve our own infrastructure, which you may look at or not, but it makes our township desirable to live in. It keeps all our property values up and everything, so.
I agree.
Thank you.
So I would like to piggyback it. Really good comments, Trustee Hayward. There's a couple other points to that too that I think are important to share. The first one is on increasing taxes. The schools collect something like 65% of the tax dollars. So the greatest beneficiary of increase of developments that pay in taxes are our school system, which is very important to keep our home values up. We have to have a great school. What the township collects and any increases in taxes, we collect about 24% of all your taxes come to the township. And of those funds we get, something like 80% goes to police and fire. So it's the most important things you want: schools, police, and fire, right? And we do the best we can with the other piece. The other issue we've got is an aging population, and this has been well documented for going on 10 years. We're looking at an aging population in Independence Township. We've known that. According to Dr. Ryan at the schools are under capacity by 1,000 students. They're allowing folks to come from other communities now and attend some of the schools because they need more students in order to be at capacity and maintain what they do. The idea of a development like this across the street, a lot of people see that high density, especially when you look at the townhouses. Guess who those attract? Generally younger professionals. And so when you get that kind of folks coming into those, they're going to move here, learn to love the community, and our hope is they fall in love with it, and when it's time to start families and raise them, they're going to sell that and buy a house where they want to raise their kids in Independence Township. And so the density is important for that, to bring in those folks and try to buffer our aging population. The other problem we have when you have an aging population is so many of our seniors are in homes they've been in for 50 years, and there's some of the what we would call starter homes now. And so younger families are having a hard time moving into Independence Township when they're looking for a starter type home. They can't afford what's available. And so all of this comes together to try and make sure that those problems are addressed. And Dave made some great points about what property owners are allowed to do. I will point out that some of the ownership of that property has owned it for decades and is a township resident and have paid taxes all those years. You do have some rights when that happens, and And I think that's part of what he talked about, so. Anyone else on the board who would,
I
Trustee
have
Almato?
just a quick wrap up to all of that, because as you alluded to, it is gonna be talked about all over social media. And it's gonna be all the people, mostly with the negative comments. So what I ask the public is, if you see that, just ask them to watch tonight's meeting, to listen to our comments, to explain everything about the whole process. That would just solve a lot, rather than this bickering, because as soon as the first shovel goes in the ground, it's gonna come. And we're prepared for it, but it'll help them understand if they just listen to what was talked about tonight. So thank you.
Brian, I'd like to know more about the parking lot light regulations we have, since Dave brought it up and we clearly at the planning commission didn't discuss it.
Yeah, so the parking lots that are adjacent to residential have to have a certain height. It's lower than standard. I believe it's 16 or 18 feet that they have to maintain. I think this project has 18 foot. Now, when you're adjacent to residential properties also, the foot candle measurement has to be 0.1 foot candles, which is hard to explain without actually showing it, but it's basically dark. There's no light trespass, and these, what they're using with their LED fixtures is what we call a shoebox or a blade style, that similar to what's out in the parking lot. It's basically flat down and the light goes down. So, but specifically adjacent to residential, you can only have 1.1 foot candle. Now, if it's commercial to commercial, you can have, on Sashaball Road somewhere, you can have up to 1 foot candle measurement at the property line. So, we really try with our light ordinance, and now we have a Kelvin requirement. So if you think of going to, Ace Hardware and buying a light bulb, you have warm white and daylight bright lights, and we have a max of 3,500 Kelvin. So a daylight bulb is usually 7,000 or 6,000. A warm white is a little lower, but 3,500 Kelvin is the maximum brightness to the eye, because it's hard with LED lights to get huge intensity, but it's still to your eye, it's intense. So that's why we put that Kelvin requirement in.
Are there any limitations on parking lot light timings or any of that in an ordinance or anything?
I don't think we have anything in the ordinance, and I think in the PUD documents, we don't have anything regarding that, but we're certainly gonna talk to the market once they're open and talk about the signage on the north side of the building. Once those residences start getting built over there. And also some of the light timing, I think, can be adjusted, but there's also a safety factor as well. So we have to keep that in mind in the parking lots, after hours even.
Yeah, okay, well, we
Yeah.
can bring that up at the planning commission about if we wanna
Yeah,
stick our toe in some sort of regulation on that,
yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the board? Any public comment? In the audience? Anyone online? Seeing none, if we could have a motion?
I move to approve the final site plan for Phase 3, West Commercial of Walden Village 2, planned unit development, contingent upon planning commission approval of the sign package for each tenant. All of the comments of Carlisle Wortman Associates reports dated March 10th, 2025, and the Nowak and Frost report dated March 6th, 2025, the fire department report dated February 5th, 2025, and any further recommendations made by the planning commission and township board.
Support.
We have a motion and a second, a roll call vote.
Trustee Alamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Tedder?
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Brown?
Yes?
Trustee Hayward?
Yes.
And Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, request to approve the first reading of speed exhibition ordinance amendments.
Okay, some of you may not know that we do have a speed exhibition ordinance that Waterford Hill Road Racing has to follow in the township, and every year they come back for variances that the board is allowed to request. And so what we thought of is, over the last year or two, we've been talking about this, and we thought we better just bring this up because it's, you know, there's minor changes that we want to make to the ordinance that are the same things they ask for seemingly every year. One is regarding their PA system. The PA itself, they use the PA to basically go through the driver's meeting with the paddock. They used to do it indoors, but since COVID, they do it outdoors. We did go out and test that, and you can't even hear it from the back straightaway. So the PA system is not an issue really. There's also a modest increase in decibel levels for the race cars. Most passenger cars that are sports cars are at 85 decibels. They don't make them lower decibels anymore, and it causes a big headache for some of the people that like to go out and take their cars out there. So that's another modification here. In this speed exhibition ordinance, it just needs to be updated for modernization. And to be honest with you, throughout the years of inspecting it every year, the last complaint we got was before COVID on the track itself, the noise and things like that. So they've done a great job running that facility, made a lot of improvements, repaved the track, and I think that's also deadened the noise a little bit.
Brian, were notifications sent to all the folks that live adjacent to the
Not
track
regarding
ordinance?
this ordinance, no. No, we've talked about that in the past, but we've never gone down that road.
No question.
Yep.
Brian, can you explain the one additional weekend per calendar year? What's that's just confusing me what that means.
Well, they have a set framework of days that they can run and weekends that they can run, and they've in the past wanted to add an additional weekend. A lot of times it's Vintage Weekend, which is in July. So they typically come to the board and ask for that to be allowed, and yeah, every year the board's approved it. So this just gives them a little more flexibility to run an extra weekend later in the year if the weather cooperates. That allows them to do that.
At your discretion or the township's discretion? Do they have to, do they have to ask in advance? Or
Yeah.
how do we know which 2 weekends a month? Do we approve that, or they can only run 2 weekends in a 4-weekend month?
They provide a schedule at the beginning of the year, and that's basically what so number one, we're aware, but number two, and it goes to the clerk's office and we get it also. And, in case there's any issues, we're aware of what's going on there at the time, but that's how it works. They give us a schedule every year, and they have a sound meter as well as we do, but they give us a calibrated report, and whenever there's an issue with a car being too loud, they park them. So, because they have somebody up there with a sound meter.
So ultimately, they're just asking for one additional weekend for the season?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Not like one every other month or?
No.
Just one
extra
additional
one.
race for the whole entire season?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of times it's just cars running. It's not necessarily a race.
Right.
It's
Just
just
running the track?
guys out on the track. Yeah.
I think going back a dozen years, many years, they came in and asked for it anyway, so then the board's always approved it.
Yeah.
We're actually being a little proactive because they already have put in a request again for this year, but it is,
Any other
it's okay, go ahead.
Any other board member comments? Anyone from the public? Anyone online would like to comment? Seeing none, could we get a motion?
I move to approve the first reading of the amendments to ordinance Chapter 6, Article 2, speed exhibitions, and authorize the township clerk to notice in accordance with state law and set the second reading for May 6, 2025.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. Is that a roll call?
Yes, it is.
Madam Clerk?
Trustee Tedder?
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Brown?
Yes?
Trustee Hayward?
Yes.
Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
And Trustee Alamothu?
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next item, request to adopt resolution number 2025-012, approving proposed consent judgment in Cast v. Independence Township, case number 2022-197618-CH. Mr. Elman?
Okay, so in December of '22, the owner of the Clarkson Cinema, located on Dixie Highway, filed a complaint to revise a plat pursuant to the Land Division Act. So, and this is a supervisor's plat, and what's going on there is next to the cinema, there's Hidden Lane, which is a dirt road, goes back to a handful of residents back there. The plat actually shows Hidden Lane going through their parking lot. So unfortunately, Hidden Lane is not on the parking lot, it's built next to it. So I think the owner really wanted to clean this up. We had a proposal there for a financial institution that fell through, partly because of this issue. Just the confusion and changes of the easements there. So the owner has asked us to enter into a consent just to clean up this plat and revise the plat to move Hidden Lane off of his property. And you know, based on the way supervisor's plats are, you have to enter into a consent. And Dan's office prepared the documents for this, and you have to pass a resolution basically to agree to it.
There's no monetary things related to this, right? Board member comments? I don't see any public comments? There we go, we have one gentleman. If you could state your name and address.
Richard Linnell, 2804 Orchard Lake Road, Suite 203, Kego Harbor, Michigan, 48320. I represent Mr. Cast. I don't have anything to add, but I wanted to make it clear that I was here in case there were any questions, and I would say the process has taken us a little bit of time, although I wouldn't be pointing fingers at anyone. I would tell you that Mr. Kelly's office has been very easy to work with, and I believe we are on the cusp of resolution. So.
Thank you.
All right, if we could have a motion.
A motion to adopt resolution 2025-012, approving the proposed consent judgment in Cast versus Independence Township, case number 2022-197618, as presented.
Support.
Roll call?
Trustee Tedder?
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Brown?
Yes?
Trustee Hayward?
Yes.
Trustee Morocco?
Yes.
And Trustee Nalumothu?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the final item, request to appoint and reappoint members to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee.
Chairman's here.
Okay, so does the board have any questions on the item? I think everybody kind of knows what we're doing here.
Yep, I was on the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee with all of these people, and they're all hardworking individuals, and I definitely think that they warrant reappointing. It's a new board, and they've started it, and they really put some time into it, so.
Very good. So if we could, any public comments before we have a motion? Anyone online? Sam, would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I'd love to. I'll move to reappoint Tom Pytel to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee for one-year term expiring December 31st, 2025.
Support.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion B.
I'll move to reappoint Joette Kuntz to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee for a two-year term expiring on December 31st, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion C, please.
I make a move to reappoint Arnold Llewellyn to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee for a two-year term expiring on December 31st, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And motion taken.
Finally, I'd like to reappoint Eric Parker to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee for a 2-year term expiring on December 31st, 2026.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion E? There's more.
Oh, there's another one? Oh, look at,
There's three more.
oh, look at all these people. Great. I forgot about them. I will also move to appoint Lisa Christensen as the Parks, Recreation, and Senior Department Liaison to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee with a term concurrent with position of interim Parks, Rec, and Seniors Director.
All those in favor? Oh, we need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion F, please.
And I would like to move to appoint Joe Sucher as the Planning Commission Liaison to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee with his term concurrent with that of his Planning Commission appointment ending December 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And this is a special one. I'd like to appoint Jim Tedder as the Board of Trustees Liaison to the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee with a term concurrent with his Board of Trustee term ending November 2028.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I almost nayed on that one, but I'll let it go.
I was thinking about it. Like,
You'll
what am I
have a
getting
good
myself
time over there
into?
with those guys.
Communications and future agenda items. There's the Oakland County Sheriff's report from February is here, the Building Department report from February, minutes from the ZBA February 5th meeting, and minutes from the Residential Open Space Advisory Committee from January. Board member comments.
I do have a comment. I may have mentioned this before, but the Clarkson Rotary Club is in coordination with the Parks, Recreation, and Seniors Department in support of, frankly, namely for the community garden, is having a garden gala on May the 8th. And tickets are $100. There's also going to be a VIP reception for $150. We expect to have some elected officials and other dignitaries present for that. There's also tables you may purchase for a discounted rate and sponsorships as well. You can learn more about that at the clarksonrotary.org website. You can go to the calendar and scroll down to May. We're going to make it a little more intuitive, but for now that's where it's at. If you scroll down to the May calendar on the clarksonrotary.org website, and you can then purchase tickets there, and all 100% of the proceeds were going to go to the continued renovation and improvement of the community garden. And we look forward to, we've got a lot of excitement happening. We've got a number of plots have been purchased, and there's communication between fellow plot owners about helping each other out in terms of watering and gardening. So don't be intimidated, because I grew up with a grandfather who gardened all the time, but this is going to be a return to a love from my childhood. So I welcome others to join me.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Move to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 703.
Good job, Paul.